What's up, guys? Nick from Comic Culture here. It's time for Nick at Night, my weekly comic book review show. If you want to get caught up on the conversation, go down below in the description. You're going to find links to some of these stories in collected format. It's a great way to help support the channel as well. With that out of the way, let's get into Marvel first. First up is a new one from Marvel. We have #1 of Storm, Earth's Mightiest Mutant. So this is a continuation of the previous run, just renumbered, and has a little bit of a subtitle to it. Storm is actually going back and dealing with the repercussions of a previous battle with Susano, who's kind of like a Japanese god of sorts, right? I think it's like seas and storms and things like that. Very interesting character. He's taken over one of the living planets right now, kind of cursing it in a way, sending it possibly on a collision course with Earth. Great little confrontation early on with Storm. Storm is playing this mind game right now, right? She's a sensitive person, but has the power of a god herself and can deal with these threats very diplomatically. And she has a couple little tricks up her sleeve, but she gets into a lot of trouble right here, assuming she can change this person, right? Seeing how they can like make a bargain with them or something like that. She's going to get cursed in here. What is that curse going to lead to? I don't know quite yet, but there's some really serious ramifications over in Earth right now. She's kind of, let the dominoes fall a little bit here, and she's to blame for a lot of stuff right now happening in Earth. And so we're going to have to deal with a lot of that stuff. We have some really cool, interesting side characters coming in. We have Scarlet Witch making an appearance because there's this mystical element happening right now. So, Storm is on her mission right now to rid this evil, but due to her actions, some really serious bad stuff is happening. It's an interesting story. I don't think it's very new reader friendly. We're kind of jumping in where we left off in the previous arc. So if you're jumping in here, you might get lost, but man, just jump in, enjoy the ride. Let's go over to Ultimate Endgame issue #2 next. A little less complicated of an issue, but there's a lot of high concept things happening right now, especially in this little pocket universe that Howard Stark has developed. He's been here so long that he doesn't even remember Tony. He barely remembers the mission to begin with. It's been like millions of years or whatever it is in his time. How is he alive? Whatever. He's got some cybernetics involved and everything. He's built a little pocket world, and the time used in this world is basically being stolen from all these different moments, all these seconds all over the place, and it's hidden away from the maker and its maker's forces. So it's a very interesting concept in general. So Tony's having to deal with all of this at the same time. We do touch base across the world and see what other people are up to, but it's mostly focused on this cast of characters in this pocket universe with Howard. The art inside the book is pretty solid, I'd say. Like, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on, a lot of cybernetics, a lot of like sci-fi, fantasy, science experiments kinds of stuff happening in here. So the look and feel of the book is really cool. I'd say as far as like the actual story goes, it does progress things a little bit forward, but like I don't really know where we're going yet. It's such a high concept, like I keep saying, that it's hard to anticipate where the story is actually going to go. Is it going to end here in the next couple of months? That's what we're all hearing right now. But like, how are they going to actually do that? And how are they going to stretch this out a little bit longer maybe and like ride the tails of the success of the Ultimate Universe? We're going to figure it out. A little less of a complicated issue, very interesting still, but I'm none the wiser where we're going to go. Next up is Ultimate Wolverine. We have issue #14. Of course, Chris Conan on this one. We have Cappuccio on the art. So a few issues ago was one of my favorite issues of this run so far. So we had Ultimate Wolverine finding the Phoenix from the Rasputins, right? Being held and being tortured and being utilized to their advantage. That escape scene was one of my favorite single issues of the year so far. The last issue, issue #13, kind of played on that a little bit more. They're still in hiding. They're kind of going around. We had some other villains coming and going. In issue #14, we're introduced to Lady Deathstrike. So we didn't get too far into that, but we got a really epic battle with Wolverine versus Lady Deathstrike, and we had the Phoenix joining the fray. Phoenix is pretty much healed up at this point, so we're going to be utilizing her a little bit more. We also have our Sentinel help as well inside the issue. So having all those guys take on this band of evil people that they found with Lady Deathstrike in there, I think that was really awesome. Cappuccio doing the art was really dramatic and everything, so Lady Deathstrike is drawn really well, just exaggerated what she normally looks like. I thought that was really cool to have that interaction, kind of like that first interaction again with her and Wolverine. So a little bit of a backstory too. Phoenix goes inside of her mind and see like what's making her tick, what is going on right now. That's going to lead us down the path where we're going to be going next in issue #15. So really exciting issue, cool battles and everything. Not as great as issue #12, I would say, but this one was pretty solid still. Let me know if you read it. Jason Aaron and Juan Ferreira over on Absolute Superman issue #17. What a great issue this was. I was really down on issue #16. It didn't do a whole lot for me, having Superman trying to like rehabilitate Ra's as he's inside the prison cell with his prison poetry. Didn't really jive with that issue, but this one cranked up the excitement. We have Absolute Hawkman in here. We get an origin story for this character. We've already seen this character in previous Absolute books. Now we're getting an origin story and the team up with Superman. This is a character that is like an anti-hero. You can almost root for this character. He has evil intentions from time to time, but he's kind of a hero at heart as well, and he was doing whatever he could do to stay alive through his origin story. He's just mixed in with the wrong crowd, I would say. So he's trying to put Absolute Superman on check right now, saying that, hey, dude, you might be really powerful, but you're brand new to this game. You don't even know how to fight, and I've been fighting forever. I can take you out in an instant, and we get a little bit of that inside the issue, but what I'm really excited for is Absolute Parasite. We get a preview of that inside this issue, but the next issue is going to be a big battle, a team up with Absolute Hawkman and Absolute Superman versus Absolute Parasite. I can't wait for that one. Let me know if you read it. All right, let's go over to Batman issue number 6. We have Matt Fraction on this one and Jorge Hernandez. Man, we had a villain show up a few issues ago that made a dramatic entrance, taking out some of the Rogues Gallery's family members to really make a point that he is in charge and very capable and resourceful. We have some of those villains that were part of that meeting that witnessed their loved ones and their family members get killed right in front of them, going back home, licking their wounds and trying to plot maybe against this guy. So a lot of interesting conversations happening with some very powerful people, and seeing what kind of like revenge they're going to be trying to push forward on this guy. So that's got a cool thread going on right there. The other piece is we have a continuation from our epic date from the previous issue. I think issue number 5 is my favorite issue of the year so far. We had this date. Was it not a date? Whatever it might be. Really great opening scene where we have these two characters sitting with each other, and there's a very awkward situation going on between them. And there's a little revelation in there. Batman thinks he's exposed, but is he really? He's not really exposed inside this, but it's going to lead to some interesting conversations later. And then speaking of conversations, we have a great one between Bruce Wayne and Damian. We have some Tim Drake action in here too. A lot of family dynamics happening right now. Tim has kind of found an out right now, right? He found a way to get out of his usual role as Robin, trying to progress his life forward, trying to, grow out of the Batcave. And we're going to be doing just that. Maybe. The other really exciting thing is we get a little sneak peek as to what Fraction's Joker is going to be up to. Where is he right now? And what's the current situation? Where are we going to go? Man, I cannot wait for issue number 7 and 8. Man, we're going to be exploring that a little bit more. Some of the covers are really insane for that, but I was not expecting the back half of issue number 6 to give us a glimpse of what's going on right there. Looks really gnarly. I cannot wait for it. It definitely has like that absolute vibe to it. It's got that excitement that's building up right now. Probably wouldn't sleep on Batman proper if I was you guys, man. If you're not reading this one, you might want to be picking it up. You never know what'll happen. All right, so the idea of boss battle issue number 1 was insane. So basically, our heroes are a little bit outgunned right now. They're outpowered by the absolute versions of themselves. There's an idea that if we bring together these different universes, these different fighters and whatnot, our guys can beat them, siphon some of their abilities, some of their omega energy or whatever it might be, and they'll be equipped enough to take on the absolute threats that are coming their way. So that's what we do. That's the way we're getting these other characters in, like Vampirilla and Sam and the Mortal Kombat characters and all these different people. That's how we're mashing stuff together. They made it work. You know what I mean? There wasn't enough pages inside this book to really tell an interesting story from each one of their perspectives. A lot of different battles going on, and then they all kind of get matched together in some kind of like Royal Rumble type of a setting. I had a good time with this issue. There wasn't a lot of meat on the bone, but there's a lot of exciting moments in here, and there's a lot of like, man, what ifs that could have happened that they didn't quite explore in here, but I'm glad we got what we got. It's really cool to see some of these characters take on each other. We had Sam from Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees versus Lex Luthor. We had Red Sonja take on Wonder Woman in here too. So many cool little moments inside the book. So did it work 100%? No. There should have been a little bit more meat on the bones. This should have been 44 pages, to be honest, but I like what we got. It was fun. It was kooky. I'm glad they were able to do it just from a publisher perspective. So props to them for trying. Next up is Nightfight issue number 4. Joshua Williamson and Dan Mora on this one. Props to the DC team for putting together some amazing writer and artist combinations. They're just killing it on the creative team front. So major props to DC in general before we get started here. So through Nightfight, the Heart of Apocalypse has been tainting Bruce Wayne's mind, right? Just trying to show him either nightmares or show him ideal future states, right? When Batman is gone, what do the children do, right? What do his Robins do to the world? Either it's a hellish landscape, like I said, or it's a utopia. It's all a dream. They're not real, right? But they're real to the characters that live inside of them. It's all a test, right? Is it a test that like Batman can actually overcome? Does he need to be Batman? Can he retire one day? You know, they're really testing his heart and his mind and his soul throughout the entire issue. This one was really heartfelt. He got the ideal state. Gotham is pristine right now. He's got grandchildren that he can help raise and spend time with. He doesn't have to be Batman anymore. Like, isn't that the end game? Like, we've seen this before inside of superhero comics and movies, but we explored a little bit more in ways that I haven't seen before. The issue does end with a great big epic battle between Batman and one of his Robins. I'll let you explore that. There is a lessons learned inside of there. Batman's going to be joining the fray, obviously, in DCKO yet again. What's his impact going to be? That's going to be seen later on. I'm excited for that. We kind of gotten some hints as to where the DC universe is going to go in general, which may spoil who wins the tournament, I think. Not sure. But either way, I'm along for the ride. Nightfight got better and better with every issue. Issue 1 was a dud, but it definitely picked up on 2, 3, and 4, so check that out. All right, Nice House by the Sea, issue number 7, the first DC Vertigo book. So I'll start there with my complaint. It shouldn't be a book that's been established already in issue number 7, because a lot of people might be picking up these books, like the DC Vertigo books, for the first time, and they got to jump into a number 7 of a series. Now, yes, is it like a volume 2, the start of volume 2? Sure, but you're going to miss all the context of the previous issues. Not a problem if you're reading the book already, but people like me who aren't reading Nice House by the Sea, you don't really know what's going on. I did read the original run, Nice House by the Lake, so I get the idea of Walter being this alien, whatever, kind of a being, trying to save pockets of people around the world from ultimate destruction. People that he's grown up with, he's gotten to know, you know what I mean? He wants to preserve them, but it's like real world road rules right now if they were taking out each other. So there is that little interesting twist to it. So again, they're in their own little pocket bubbles, right? They don't quite know that the other ones exist, but some of them do, and they're going for their resources right now. So it's going to turn into something, I'm sure. It's not a series I'm normally reading. It's not a series I'm going to continue reading. I got it for the connecting cover. I just wish they didn't start with this one for issue number 7. Kind of a miss in my opinion. What do you guys think? Poison Ivy issue number 41. I'm jumping back into this series because it is ramping up in a big way here. Of course, we have Vandal Savage. He's the mayor of Gotham. He's causing a lot of harm right now, just in general across the landscape. So Poison Ivy is back in Gotham and she's going up against him directly. He gave her an ultimatum in the previous issue, basically stay out of my way and help me do this one thing, like help me campaign, help me, just kind of like ease the minds of the general public about these initiatives that I have and whatnot, and I won't take you and your thugs out. She's going along to a point, but she eventually breaks and ends up destroying the whole plan, and now she's paying for those actions right there. But she's very well equipped. She's got a lot of great resources, and she's going to hit Vandal Savage right where it hurts. She's going to try to go for that mayoral seat. It's going to be really fun to see those two go head to head in future issues. I'm really excited. It's got some of the best interior artwork and some of the best cover work in comics right now. Do not sleep on Poison Ivy. It's getting really good and starting to ramp up. Let me know if you read it. All right, so this book I definitely slept on. I'm glad I was able to read it, though. We have Night City issue number 1 from Dark Horse. Of course, we have Matt Kent and we have David Lapham on this one. It's very much a Superman, Homelander kind of a vibe, but there are some very unique, original ideas sprinkled in there. We do have a Superman type of a character. We have a Lois Lane. We have a Daily Bugle. We have all these very familiar things. We have very over-the-top eccentric villains in big mech suits. But there are some interesting things in here. What if Superman finally cracks, finally says to himself, this isn't working. Every time I try to put some guy away, he always comes back, and I'm just getting tired of this. Being tired is kind of the theme for this entire story, and that theme evolves over time. He almost takes out one of his arch rivals in the opening pages of the book. In very dramatic fashion, I would say. The artwork is incredible. It's dynamic. The compositions are cool. The coloring is insane. I just haven't seen much like that before, although it is a Matt Kent book, so it's in that vibe. Now, one of the most interesting pieces of this is the dynamic between like the Clark Kent and the Superman persona. We have that same thing going on here, but it's approached in a very different, unique way. Now, as the reader, you're going through this book and you're a little bit confused from time to time as to like what exactly is happening, but it gets cleared up through just natural narration through the story. Handled very well. There's some great one-liners in this book that blew me away, made me pause, made me stop and say, whoa. That's really great, guys. Whenever those moments happen inside of comics, that's what we're looking for. So they're taking very familiar themes with the dichotomy of these characters, right? These alternate lives that they lead. They're flipping on its head and doing something really cool and different with it. Props to the team. This one blew me away. Let me know if you read it. Over in Dynamite Comics, we have Thundarr the Barbarian, issue number 1. Jason Aaron on this one, which is the main reason why I picked it up. I really enjoy what Jason Aaron typically puts out there. And this is a character I don't know much about, but I know it was a cartoon show in the 80s. I actually watched a few episodes. They're on YouTube right now, just to kind of get myself familiar with what's going on, the tone and the vibe of the characters and everything, and wanted to check it out. But I do know that also Jack Kirby had a hand in like some of the character designs and whatnot. So it's got very interesting bones to it, great foundation for it. So we're going to check out number 1 and see what it was all about. Now, if you enjoyed the cartoon show, if you like the hackiness of it, right, the eye rolliness of it or whatever, the simplicity of it, I think you're going to enjoy this one. I didn't dig the art very much, and I did not enjoy the voices of the characters. They seemed a little bit too retro feeling. You know, you can do a thing like Space Ghost, and you can do a thing like Speed Racer, and you can do stuff like that and modernize it a little bit, add some more stakes to it, make it feel more modern, more down to earth, more current. You know what I mean? You could take those old properties and do that. I don't think it translated very well here, but maybe that wasn't the intention. Maybe they wanted to capture that nostalgic vibe and keep that stuff rolling right there. So it is possible to take older properties and modernize them, make them relevant. I don't think it did it here, but again, I don't know if that was the idea. So I'm not excited to continue reading Thundarr the Barbarian. I think issue number 1 is a one and done for me. Let me know what you guys thought though down below. All right, let's go over to IDW Dark. We have the Twilight Zone issue number 4. Nate Powell's doing the duties on top of this one. It's an interesting story. We have this boat that's out at sea right now. It's got this mystical door. We have a brother and a sister. The sister has her husband with them. They're on this vacation. The brother is very dependent on everybody, right? He's kind of a loser in life. He can't hold down a job. Even when he gets help, he kind of sabotages that help. People are mad around him and abandoning him as friends and whatnot. But there's that bond between brother and sister. She just can't break it no matter how many times he disappoints her. Now, this boat they're on has this magical door, right? This like sea door at the very bottom of it. Once you go into there, it sends you to a different realm. It kind of puts you in an area where like everything is feeding you what you want to hear. You know, he's really a great guy and everyone loves him and all this stuff. And he's doing the best he can and everything. And she's getting kind of the opposite of what her life is leading right now. She's living this life of luxury and she's not worried about her brother, not worried about all these things. And she's just being fed all these positive things all the time. It's not reality in a way. It's the opposite of what is going on. It's really what like their true heart desires. So it was pretty interesting. There's some cool sci-fi elements in there, just like manipulating the imagination and everything and kind of giving the person what they think they want. But at the end of the day, it kind of leads to a nightmare type of a thing. So it was interesting. Didn't blow me away, to be honest with you, though. That's kind of the issue with the Twilight Zone books for me right now. They're decent one and done stories, but they're not really hitting that like psychological thing for me that I really want inside of these books. I also like a little bit more of a tie-in with the shows themselves, a little bit of narration up front, maybe a little bit of a narration at the end to bookend these things, you know? So I wish it was heading a little bit more in that direction. I know there's only so much you can do if you're one person doing everything and you only have one issue to tell a story, but I was hoping for a little bit more. We're 4 issues in. None of them have blown me away yet. What do you guys think? Next up from Ignition Press, we have Love Ignited. This is a one-shot, an anthology story with many different artists and writers throughout it. I got this one because I knew Danny was going to do interiors and Patrick Horvath had a story in here as well. So everything else was a bonus on top of those two. Danny takes on the art duties for the first story. There's these 2 mystical creatures and they're basically competing for the same area. They go into a deadly game of who can rack up the most body counts. And it was a pretty cool thing, but it was a little bit abruptly ended, I think, just due to like page count in general. There wasn't a whole lot of story you can tell in that amount of time. So there wasn't that like hit at the end, but the interior artwork was crazy good. That's kind of the theme for all of these stories, I'd say. As I'm flipping through here and reading some of the books, some of the interior artwork was great. Some of the stories had interesting ideas behind them, but the page count is so short that it doesn't give you time to build up and like earn these epic moments at the end. And even those moments at the end aren't very epic to begin with. There's this little thing and there's little realization and this like, I don't know, plateauing of emotion as you're reading it. It doesn't really hit you and then all of a sudden you're in the next one. So that's my overall issue with anthology books to begin with. They usually don't work for me. Now, Patrick Horvath's book in here was basically like a human version of Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. This guy goes on these dates. He ends up poisoning these people. He buries them into the woods, but that eventually catches up to him in some supernatural kind of a way. That was probably the best book in here, and I'm glad it was because Horvath is an amazing artist and writer. So I was anticipating a great story there. It was also I think the longest and most complete story we got inside the book. So I'm happy for that at least. All right. I hope you got your copies of Dork issue number 1 because apparently it's sold out, everyone. Everyone's losing their mind for this book. So let's talk about it. What was it all about? So we have this half dwarf, half orc character, which is where the name Dork comes from. And it's a funny scene where he's given that name when he's fighting some bandits in here. He's living in very much of a I Heart Fairyland aesthetic medieval time frame. He's sort of a ranger character with this possessed shield shield that has a mind and a voice of its own, very sarcastic and bloodthirsty, and they're going on about their day. The world they live in right now is split. There's this giant fissure in the middle where these battles are always occurring between these different realms. There's an overall prophecy that Dork is a part of, and we're starting to explore that a little bit more and how dangerous it is if that prophecy is fulfilled. So people have an interest in taking him out at the same time. This comic is really a combination of a lot of things that we've seen lately. You know, we have this hero going through this cartoonish medieval time period. It has a companion with him, this like shield that has a voice that is opposite of his own voice in a way. You know, I'm thinking about Barbaric with his axe. I'm thinking about Absolute Superman with his cape. I'm thinking about Void Rivals with the hand droid. Like that whole theme has been played out a lot over time, but it's still fun at the same time. And of course, we throw in a prophecy on top of this. Like I said before, there's this prophecy that he will fulfill, or people are fearful that he will, and it will ultimately end the world if it does. So again, a lot of familiar tones going on right here, but this is a very stylized package. There's a lot of cool things happening. It was still funny to read. It was still exciting. It's gruesome. It's gory. And it's a new Image #1, which really helps sell the thing in general. So I do get the hype to a certain extent, but we're going to see where the story can go from here. Is it going to deviate and go somewhere different and unique that we haven't seen before? That's going to be really the test of time for me, for somebody who enjoys the characters and the story itself, not necessarily the #1 and a great looking cover. We're going to finish over with Titan Comics. We have Savage Sword of Conan. We have issue number 12 out this week. Savage Sword of Conan is probably one of the best bangs for your buck when it comes to comics each and every month or quarter whenever these books are coming out. When it comes to quantity and quality and price point, you really can't beat it. It's extra size, it's newspaper print, and it just looks gorgeous, and there's great interior stories in every single issue. Now in this story, Conan off panel is arriving to this one house. He has been damaged. He's been infected with some kind of evil. He doesn't quite understand. He is remedied pretty quickly. This old lady is able to pull this like evil spirit, this evilness out of him. Right before it was taking his life, this thing has rooted itself in the land right now. Other people are fighting it at the moment, and we don't quite know how or to what extent this thing has really manipulated the land and everything. We explore that throughout the issue, and it is dramatic and of course world-ending if left unchecked. Conan owes his life to this woman who saves him early on. This woman has 2 daughters that have been kidnapped essentially or brainwashed by this evil power. So he goes on this revenge mission against that evil, teaming up with unlikely heroes and allies that he finds around the land. The cool dynamic between those characters is there, and I really like all the different abilities they have. There's like the ranger and there's the knight, there's the sorcerer all in there. Really dramatic battles, man. Full page spreads, really interesting stuff, just filled with epic moments throughout the entire thing. We go down deep into the earth, we go into caves, we have molten monsters everywhere. Really great things happening inside of Savage Sword. If you're looking for something high adventure, if you're looking for something that's nonstop action, great quality, like I said, just a great bang for your buck overall, Savage Sword of Conan is hard to beat. With that said, Conan proper is amazing as well. So definitely check out everything Savage Sword and Conan proper, and the little one-offs and little events they have spinning off every once in a while. Conan's absolutely killing it. I wish more people were talking about it. Let me know if you're reading it and your thoughts. All right, guys, that's what I read this week. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know down below what you read and what your favorite books of the week were. While you're down there, like, subscribe, share, hit that bell notification to be alerted whenever I put out new videos. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the comments.